get this overwhelming feeling that there's like this unspoken rule that we all just agree to groupthink, and that when somebody dares to actually do something a little bit different, it's not that people don't necessarily agree with what they do, it's that they feel overwhelmed that somebody was brave enough or had enough courage to do something different. Now, we held a family meeting this morning. I told you in the first episode that we have 5 kids. My wife Katrina and I, we have 5 boys aged 8 to 17. And family meetings are loved and loathed, I think, in our household, because they're the times where we just take stock of our life and just for a second ask questions of what's going on for everybody, and are we doing the things that we need to be doing, and are we doing the things that we want to be doing? And look, we know life's complicated, and there's 7 moving parts in our family, so trying to give people what they need and to live life in the way that benefits them is difficult. It's not easy, but that's the point of doing family. But I was struck again this morning that as we were just talking about if there were some tough choices we need to make, or if there were some things as a family we needed to change, or if we once again affirmed and confirmed that the things we were doing were exactly what we should be doing and we want to be doing, I was reminded that about a year and a half ago, Katrina and I and the family, we ultimately ended up making a bit of a, I don't know if it is countercultural, but it felt like a countercultural decision at the time. And for a period of 6 months, we homeschooled our boys. It was a very big deal and a very big question. And our boys are back in sort of regular education now, but for that period, and there was a lot going on for our family in the years just before that, and there were some complicated needs and other things, and we got to a point where we believed it was time. It was time to give it a go. And what we realized really quickly when we made that decision was there were some people around us there's a bunch of people who were very excited and celebrated the decision. There were others that were a little bit confused, didn't really understand the decision. That's fine. And that'll be the way it is with all decisions you make in your life, I guess. But there were also a bunch of people who were a little bit kind of put out by it, or a little bit kind of irritated by the idea of it. And I started to wonder why. Like, what brings somebody to the point where they just kind of, I don't know, just can't resolve it in their heads why you would make a certain decision. What I realized was we get to a point where we just all kind of agree to do and live life a certain way. I think at times we just go, we agree to all be low level unhappy with our lives. We all agree to just be a little bit miserable, to have commitments that we don't really want to be having, to doing jobs that pay the bills, but really we don't like them. They don't fill us up. They're not something where we feel like we're making an impact in the world. They enable us to just buy more stuff, so therefore that'll do. And what we do is there's an unspoken agreement that we all are to just keep being a little bit unhappy and all do it. No one gets to question that. And I realized that as we made the decision about schooling, it's very similar to a decision about living and working, is that when somebody decides to say, you know what, I don't agree anymore. I don't want to live like that anymore. I want to do something different. I want to try something, even if it fails, or even if it doesn't go on for the next 10 years. I don't want to play by the whole rule of I just want to be low level miserable. I want to actually give something a try. Because actually, we have the ability to do that. So if we have the ability to choose and we refuse to choose, and we just continue to do things that are eating us away, buying time, 10 years goes by, 20 years goes by, we're still in debt, we're still miserable, we're not doing things that we feel like are valuable. The only person that loses is us. Ultimately, I meet a lot of people who have said to me over the years that they wish they'd have done this, or they wish they'd have done that. Or if they'd have just done something different, then maybe, just maybe, things would have been different. I don't know about you. I don't want to be the guy that says, what if? I don't want to be the guy who spends his entire life just waiting to retire to end up dying 2 years after I retire. I don't want to just get by. I don't want to just spend my life on things that aren't of meaning. And I think the trick is, along with the first trick I gave you in the first podcast, which is we're all making this up as we go along. The second trick is you can change. You can choose. You can step out of this kind of idea that we've all bought into, which is don't rock the boat. Don't ask questions. We're all doing this together. We are all miserable. It's just the way it is. It's what we have to do. We have the ability to say, I don't want to live like that anymore. Now, I don't know what your thing is. I don't know if it's something creative or it's a different part of your current job or if it's going for a promotion that you're just not sure that you could do or whatever it is. What I know is you're going to need to be courageous. And courageous just for the next step. You don't need to have enough courage for the next 20 years. You just have to have enough courage for the next step. I remember the movie We Bought a Zoo that Matt Damon was in. He talked about in that movie, he was talking to his kids and he says, you just need 3 seconds of courage. And he told the story of how he met his wife and that he walked past a restaurant or a cafe and he saw her through the window and he said, I thought she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in my life. And I realized in that moment I could walk past and I could never talk to her. Or I could go inside and I could have 3 seconds of courage and I could introduce myself. And in the movie, he walks the situation back. He takes his kids back to the cafe and he kind of role plays it. And he shows that 3 seconds of courage changed his life. That 3 seconds of courage meant that he met the woman that he ultimately would marry and have children with. And I guess my question to myself today and to you is, what do you need 3 seconds of courage for? What do you need to do today that you've been avoiding, that if you just had 3 seconds of courage, it could make a difference? And then tomorrow, what's your next 3 seconds of courage? And then the day after, what's your next 3 seconds of courage? So the good news is you don't need 20 years of courage. You need 20 years of daily 3 seconds of courage. And I have a feeling that that potentially can change everything. That you can step out of groupthink, that you can step out of this is just the way my life is. You can step out of, well, we've all just agreed to be miserable in our own way. And maybe, just maybe, 3 seconds of courage starts you on a path towards something new, towards something far more meaningful, towards something where maybe you can pull together what you love, what you do, and how you live in a way that works for you best. And maybe that serves the world best. When you are in your sweet spot, when you are doing what you love and you are value adding to us, your community. That's my thought for today. See ya. Well, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe. All of the links should be working now if you're on the podcast.co site. Up top right-hand corner, you'll see the subscribe button. All sorts of different platforms. If you're listening to this on your favorite platform, hopefully you've already found it. and you've hit subscribe, and you will get all the updates and all of the new stuff as it comes out. We are on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, you name it. I don't know. All those technologies, it's out there. But I hope you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying starting to put these together. But don't forget to subscribe. That'll be cool. All right. See you later. Bye.